Professor Roko Zarnic, who is going to present us the importance of significances in cultural heritage assets and the complexity of the digital documentation. So, Roko, thank you very much. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Marinos. I am very obliged to be today here with you and all participants, and thanks to all of you to be interested in what we are presenting today. Well, I am Roko Zarnic. I'm professor from University of Ljubljana. I am now retired from teaching, but working more intensively on research. My career started in earthquake engineering, where my interest for heritage protection came out, and the recent 10 years, I'm partly very concentrated on cultural heritage research in the educational and research way, with several PhD students working with me before. I was teaching building materials, preservation of heritage, and also experimental assessment of structures, all the disciplines which helps a lot with knowledge for what we are doing now. Well, my presentation is not about meta or paradata, but about the third group of data for which I don't know the name. I can call them, just for a moment, as cultural heritage content data. The data about intangible and tangible properties of heritage, and they are not yet well integrated in IT, but as Douglas said before, there are not yet tools for that, and I think that is a challenge for future. So we know that cultural heritage assets are defined by their characteristics, having unique cultural, historic, and environmental attributes. Yet the detailed discovering of characteristics is extremely complex task that nowadays is looking for its resolving by extensive use of digital techniques and tools. Cultural heritage assets comprise a wide area of tangible and intangible aspects that as whole determine and enable evaluation of assets. The inclusive assessment of asset leads to holistic understanding of variety of its significances. Well, holistic understanding of variety of cultural heritage assets and their significances enables correct preventive conservation, efficient site management, and sustainable use of assets to enable extension of its life, supported by self-acquiring of needed funds. The current development of ICT tools and introducing of 3D documentation of heritage assets brings a new momentum to discipline. So, identification of significances is based on the 9 groups of significances pertaining to heritage assets that are divided in 3 subgroups each. It is in context of data collection organized in 2 major groups: the group of general characteristics of heritage asset and group of characteristic detailing presented in next slide. The detailed analysis of complex 3D documentation enables planning and execution of heritage asset management, as well as a proper decision-making, I would accent it, a proper decision-making, regarding to preventive and post-disaster intervention in heritage assets. So what we are talking? We are talking about the assets that are actually located in cultural environment and landscape, which contains built environment, but it comes out from the natural environment. So this case of megalithic structures, European, are very illustrative. So we are working on this issue for years. In some cost actions, to mention C5 cost 20 years ago or 25 years ago, to the FP7 project, EUSHIC, Cultural Heritage Identity Card, where we tried, it was a project with about 10, 12 participants, where we try to understand how to manage content, what to connect, what to collect, and what we can present or not present widely public. So this well-known iceberg model, which comes also from Freud understanding of our consciousness, we used just to show that not all data can be always publicly available about heritage, because they are somehow sensitive. So here the role of owner is the crucial, making owner or the institution or professionals responsible for the certain heritage. So they are to decide what can be revealed, especially nowadays when you had cases of the problems with illicit traffic of heritage, with destruction in lately years, several years ago, still now, we know where. So that should be careful one what to reveal. So the general data collection is not sensitive. It's based on the Council of Europe recommendations. And if you go to webpage uchic.eu, you will find the English version of the questionnaire, where you can collect the basic data, use them freely, if just to be used. But in addition to this questionnaire on this web page, you will find instruction guidelines in 13 languages, even in Arab, in Hebrew and Russian and all European languages, to make this system easier to use. So it's not invention of EUCHIC. We borrowed the Council of Europe recommendations and added some elements. The real data pool is, we call it pool of knowledge, which can be derived from identification, documenting, description, and interpretation of cultural heritage asset significances, which I'm going to talk about later. But what may be the most useful for those who are taking care for owners are decision support protocols, which are developed for site management and maintenance, planning and execution of interventions. Well, there are some studies which identify that 50% of all troubles, all problems regarding heritage are coming from the lack of knowledge or ignorance of those who are responsible for them. So, in our research with my PhD students, we came to the list of 9 groups of significances. Well, this list might not be the final one, so we expect in future, when this understanding is developed, another category will arrive. But for the time being, we actually divide it in 2 major groups. One is more about the tangible, the red and black, another about intangible. But when we are looking to the certain object, certain artifact, or certain monument, we will find for each of them many of these aspects which are related to them. So what is the idea? That you can look when you have one object or one monument in your hands, you can look at this as a kind of the checklist and trying to see which of these categories can be used for description or for understanding. So I would recall here the Rafaela's suggestion about H.H. Beam, where she starts the story with us found analysis. So that is something what can be a tool for this purpose. Well, here I show you a little picture. I'm living in Ljubljana, which in area where it was former lake, we had pile dwellings, like in many Alp countries. All these pile dwellings are UNESCO World Heritage Site. What we are proud of is the eldest wooden wheel and axis for the two-wheel carriage, dated from 3,200 years before Christ. Also for that object, monument site, where we have only piles, or the element, these significances can be applied. So if you're talking about a found analysis, we usually are working on kind of investigation report. Here is a kind of scheme that can be used. On one side, data which are used for 3D model documentation, let's say more, I call them hard data. On the left side, softer data, which are more descriptive. And I hope the ones in future, maybe from you around here, will find a way how put this data into the IT tools. As Douglas said, that there is no yet any such a possibility. So if you go to decision-making protocols, we need documentation protocols at the beginning, like identity card models, like a SHIC or some other. And then with these tools, according to the necessity of performing inspection, diagnosis, intervention, we can end up at decision-making protocols. Why they are important? Look, here I found some report about the study where surveyed 60 World Heritage properties, identified 41 properties in 18 countries as most at risk from natural and human-induced hazard according to the World Risk Index. You see, the owners, the responsible, 37% cases risks were not identified within the management plans. On the other side, only 10% the risk and mitigation of these were presented in an effective and extensive risk preparedness plan. I will not comment this. I think the all is talking for itself. So here we are also at data collection's importance. Recognizing the importance of the reliable and as complete as possible data on various aspects related to cultural heritage, its properties and values, experts and authorities in many countries have been developing and use various systems and tools for inventory and documentation of cultural heritage. The whole tradition of care for cultural heritage is reflected in those systems. Yet, at the same time, the approach to contents from the local approaches, understanding is sometimes limited. In some countries, there are several systems for data collection which are not connected. Therefore, the straight comparison of data of heritage assets is difficult. It was also idea behind the EU SHIC project, and as mentioned, the short system of data, basic data collection, can be used for comparison all around worldwide the properties of heritage data. So here I will touch a little bit few of many possible area where the good data collection and the identification of significances can be well applied. Recently, the resilience of cultural heritage asset became quite popular issue. It came from years ago from many disciplines, from medicine also, but also from earthquake protection of heritage, or not heritage, also contemporary buildings. But IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, gave us very good definition. Resilience is the ability of a system and its component parts to anticipate, absorb, accommodate, or recover from the effects of the hazardous event, in a timely and efficient manner, including through ensuring the preservation, restoration, or improvement of its essential basic structures and functions. So, if you want to assess the resilience, we need to have profound knowledge of asset significances. We need a rich collection of data. Here, not to mention the case of the fire destroyed or damaged Cathedral Notre Dame, or not yet, hope never, such damaged Cathedral of Cologne. But that is typically two cases where we have to prepare ourselves and to increase the resilience. So we know, after that, we have to know the response of asset on natural and man-made disasters. We have to understand the significances of cultural heritage. We have to understand the social importance of asset. We have to understand the management of cultural heritage asset and do it well. And we have to have a knowledge on technical measures for increasing of resilience. Here's a little bit, how to say, trying to present this idea. I put this in one simple plot where the crucial point is the start of renewal or start of intervention. We have a rich history of asset where its value was changing from 100%, R0 is 1, to nowadays, in this plot, let's say 50%. Because the heritage asset was exposed to decay, to interventions, to sudden events, to many events, and some value was lost forever in past. After intervention, we try to recover as much of its value. Some of value will stay forever unrecoverable, but a lot of that we can do. So in certain moment, we need to know, because here we are at the point of as found point, we need to really understand and analyze well all what we know about heritage, to document all significances and try to make them, to reconstruct them, or to remake them to the certain level as high as possible, but for sure according to all conservation rules and all other rules, not just one discipline, but multidisciplinary approach. So when we have a recovered value, we have documentation of as found and recovered documentation. For any future sudden event or decay process, we'll have set of data which we'll use for new recovering, and so we will have possibility to recover all again. So another issue which can be interesting is the identification of cultural heritage services. What are these services? Well, service is something what cultural heritage offers to users, to people, to society as a very high value. So sustainable use of assets to enable extension of its life supported by self-acquiring or needed funds is based on the identification services that it can offer to community and market. So that's all about, oh, not all about, but it's very much about the economy. Heritage located in environmentally sensitive areas like Natura 2000 Europe can be sustainably exploited by linking its services with ecosystem services. The CIDOC documentation based on identified significances of intangible and tangible, movable and immovable heritage is a strong tool for achieving of economic impacts on the local society, increasing their well-being in spiritual and material aspects of life. So the ecosystem services is well-known theory. Ecosystem offer use value and non-use value. It can be directly used, it can be indirectly used, the option value, the legacy and altruistic value, and instrument value. All these can be also assigned to cultural heritage services. Okay, there is not much yet about the heritage services. This is a quite new area of research and understanding. But I think it is one of the futures, and I hope that in the future framework program or Horizon, there will be some call on this. So just to conclude, significances of heritage asset combine its tangible and intangible aspects. The recovered cultural heritage asset should encompass as many as possible original significance. The profound knowledge about significances is the essential part of resilience needed for recovery of cultural heritage assets. The wide use of ICT methods and tools strongly contribute to success of resilience identification, improving identification of economic potential of heritage assets, and post-disaster assessment and retrofitting. But the proposed approach may be used in future development of standardization in the field of digital cultural heritage, what is going to be discussed within also one ongoing EU VG 2020-654 projects, about which today we didn't talk much about, but if somebody is interested in that, Marinos, as a coordinator, will be more than happy to tell more. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Roko. That was another one, totally different point of view of how we see the complexity of the holistic documentation for the creation of a knowledge and the memory in cultural heritage, in digital cultural heritage.